everyone. How are we doing today? Checking where I am going live. Hey everyone. Today is a very special day, for me anyway, because today is mine and Jamie's wedding anniversary. We've been married for 13 years. And he's not a dog trainer, but he's definitely good with animals. Um, in fact, he's one of those people that's kind of annoying because animals just naturally love him, whereas I feel that I have to work for it. But today we're going to talk about pricing again, because this morning I was scrolling around and I saw a post in one of the dog trainers groups that I'm in for professionals, and the topic came up again, and it comes up a lot because people can feel really unsure of what to charge. But the way that the question was worded was about charging what you're worth. And so I was thinking, what does it even mean to charge what you're worth? How can you how can you put a price on what you are worth? And I think it's important to differentiate that it's not what you're worth as a person, it's what the results are worth that you're offering to people. And remembering that it is a very valuable service that you're offering and that you can change people's lives with training their dogs. If they're living with a stressful situation with their dogs, it can actually be a life changing step to get help with dog training. So let's talk about what it means to charge what you're worth. Well, my definition, if I was to put it into words, would be that charging what you're worth means that you are confident in your abilities and your results that you offer, and that your prices are worth it for your experience, your knowledge, your education, your skills, and the results. And it also, to me, means that you acknowledge that you deserve to be paid well for what you do, and you're able to make a comfortable living from it and a profit as well. Because so many dog trainers are really sort of chasing their tails and burning out and putting a lot of time and energy into the work that they do, but they're still struggling to make a profit or draw a comfortable wage from it. And let me know if you relate to that, if you feel like you're working really hard, but you're not really reaping the benefits so much, or don't feel like you're getting enough financial benefit to really justify the amount of maybe time or energy that you put in. And I always say that it's not just for your time, your energy is a big thing too, especially as you get older. The older that I get, the more valuable my energy is and what I spend it on too. But let's talk about some signs that you might not be charging enough. So, if you're constantly in a rush and feeling overwhelmed or burnt out, and I want to point out too that this doesn't necessarily mean that you're working 8 to 10 hours a day or more, 5, 6 days a week or 7 days a week. You could have a level that is too much for you and too many hours for you that isn't full-time hours, because all of us are different with how much that we can take on depending what else we've got going on in our lives and how many hours we are able to or want to work. So if you're feeling overwhelmed or burnt out, it doesn't necessarily come down to the amount of hours comparative to anyone else, but just the amount that is too much for you. Another sign that you're not charging enough is if people comment that you're too cheap, especially other trainers, and especially if you get results for a client and they comment that you're too cheap for what they got, or that they were surprised that you were so cheap when they contacted you. Another sign is if you're booked out, but you still don't have enough to cover all your expenses, both business and personal. So you should be able to comfortably cover your business expenses and also be able to pay yourself a wage. So if you can't afford to save money for business expenses or to invest back into your business, if there's an opportunity like an advertising opportunity or some education, and you never have any leftover money to go towards those sort of things that can improve and grow your business, then that's a sign that you maybe aren't charging enough, or maybe the flow of money or where you're putting it could need some adjustment. So if you can't afford to save money for your business expenses or invest in your business, or if you can't afford to draw a wage and pay yourself comfortably as well, that could be a sign that you're not paying enough. And things like ordering stock, paying bills for the business, paying taxes as well, making sure you have enough set aside for tax. Hey, Natalie, good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. So if you don't have enough to pay your taxes at the end of the financial year, it's just been the end of financial year here in Australia. The end of our financial or tax year is June 30. So it's tax time now, time to organize paying our taxes. And a lot of people will be scrambling to come up with the money for that, especially the way the current situation in the world is, with people being strapped for cash. So organizing that so that things are covered and setting aside it as you go and having enough to do so and still being able to take a profit is really important. But when it comes to coming up with the number of what you charge people, pricing can be a really personal thing. And that's why there's such a big variation in pricing across the board in our industry, in dog training, and in many other industries, it's similar as well. So when you're trying to come up with what to charge and you're looking for that number, there's a few factors to take into consideration. First of all, it's got to feel comfortable for you. So there's no point in looking at someone else's numbers or what someone recommends that you could or should be charging in their opinion. If you feel so uncomfortable with that you can't ask for that figure when you're making a sale, then it's going to be very hard to make that work, because it's really important to be confident when you ask for the sale. And if you've got doubt in the number amount when you're giving that and trying to make that sale, that's going to come across and people will pick up on it, even subconsciously, and that can cost you the sale. And then what can happen is you will justify to yourself, oh, see, that is too much to charge. I can't charge that much money because everyone's saying no to it. Told you so. It's just not going to work for me. It's just not going to work in my area or with my customer base. And you will have felt like you've proven that to yourself, when really it's not the case. It's just that you need to be more confident in that number. Now, another thing that you need to take into consideration is the amount of work that you personally can take on without burning out, fitting it into your lifestyle, and the expenses that you need to cover in your business and your personal expenses. So you need to know how much you need to make and need to earn as your personal wage, how much your business needs to make to be able to pay that personal wage, and what you want to make as your like take home salary for the year. So you need to know that to be able to reverse engineer it and work it back to like an hourly amount. So I always refer to it as your base hourly amount. And as you know, I teach to sell programs or packages and bundle your services together. So it doesn't mean that you need to charge an hourly rate to the client when they're paying you, but you need to know what your base hourly rate is and what your overall goal for the year is. Break that down to the quarter, break that down to the month, and break that down to the week, so that we can try and get something steady, even with all the ups and downs of this sort of business. Hi, Shelley, good to see you. So lots of things to take into account there. And if you haven't done it yet, make sure you do my pricing guide, which is in the new program creation kit, with some more details about figuring out the numbers part, especially if you feel like you've got no idea what to charge, you don't know where to start, and you just want someone to tell you some calculations to do. And it still allows you to set the goal, because you set the first goal of how much you want to make in a year, and then the calculations that I give you help you to reverse engineer that. So you still have some control over what's comfortable to you and what is realistic and what you need to make for your lifestyle as well. So I'll put the link in the comments and the description of this video as well. So another thing, and this is a really big one, is you do need to take into account the area that you live in and the supply and demand. But I will tell you, every single dog trainer I have spoken to, or almost every dog trainer, has always said to me something about, in my area, insert problem here. So they think that in their area, the people are different, or the people are really old school, or the people don't believe in training their dogs. Maybe they're like in my area, there's a lot of farmers, old school farmers, that don't believe that dogs need a professional to train them. The dogs should just do what they're told. And so when I started out, a lot of people would say, this is the attitude around here. People aren't going to pay for dog training. No way. They're just going to, make the dog do what it's told. It's a farm dog. And if the dog is that naughty, it's not going to last, or they're going to take it out the back and shoot it. Things like that. And so if people live in that sort of area, that comes up a lot. Another thing that happens is if they live in an area that's like a small country town, they feel like there's maybe not enough people, or that mindset of the dog doesn't need a professional trainer. Population, that's a huge one that comes up if people are in a smaller area, but that's all really relative as well. So some people that I talk to that think they're in a really small area, they're in an area that is bigger than some of my other students that are doing 5 figures a month in small areas. So it's not necessarily going to hold you back if you're in a small town or a country environment. The other thing that can vary by area is the amount of competition, right? And so people can feel like, well, there's too much competition here. And I've had students as well that have had a lot of competition that's charging really cheap rates, and they didn't feel like they could compete with that. And they weren't even willing to work for that low because they couldn't live off that. But they were worried that if they charged more than that, no one would hire them because the competition is cheaper. Well, they went on to charge a lot more and be the most expensive dog trainer in their area, and still being fantastically busy and get to those 5 figure months. Shelley says, how do you get those clients? That's a great question. And that's always like the next question when we talk about all of this marketing stuff is, how do I get the clients? And we will go into this in more depth in another live because it's a whole other topic. But for now, to get you started, I think the best way might be to check out my blog on 62 ways to get dog training clients. Have you seen that one yet, Shelley? Because I'll put the link to that in the comments as well. I'll reply to your comment and put that in. Let me see if I can pull that up now. Let me know if you've seen it. And obviously I wrote this pre-COVID, so there's some things on there that you might have to adapt, or that you can't do, like things that you would do with like crowds of people, obviously, but there's 62 things on the list, so you should be able to get some ideas. And one thing too, I've put that in the reply to your comment now, Shelley. One thing too is the most important thing is to keep marketing and keep putting yourself out there as much as you can. Be visible. Even if it's mostly online, because everyone's online anyway. Now, the other thing, of course, that you need to take into account, back to pricing with setting your rates, is your experience level and the level of results, which does also depend on how you work with the person. So your people skills, how much time you've spent studying, how much time you've spent hands-on with dogs, the results you've got in the past. Obviously, as your knowledge and experience builds up, you get better and better at what you do as well. And this is something that I always say, okay, when you come to me and I'm going to help you with your marketing, I'm going to assume that you've got that part down pat. You can get results and train the dogs, because on this page and in my Dog Matters Pro content, we're all about the business and marketing side, but you will know if you can get results, and the results will speak to that and show you where you're at with that. And you can always adjust this. This is the other big thing with anything that you put into place in your business, is that the beauty of it is your business and nothing is set in stone. So if you set a price today and then you find that you don't feel comfortable quoting it because it's too high, or it's too low and you don't feel like you're getting enough compensation for what you're putting in, you can change it. You can set a price today and change it tomorrow. It's your business, and you should be designing your business and evolving your business to work for you in the way that you need it to support your goals, your specific situation, and your lifestyle. So I've got clients that are still raising their prices incrementally right now. I actually spoke to one of my students this morning who just raised her price a significant amount, and she said she had no difference in the number of conversions to bookings, and now she could never go back to what it was before because everyone is still saying yes to this much higher price. And she's like, well, I should have done this sooner. But if that hadn't worked, she could always quote lower if things dropped off and it wasn't working out. But she was willing to try it. And I always say to people, okay, if you know you need to raise your rates, but you're not feeling very confident about putting it up, and if people are going to say no, how about you quote everyone your higher price for 1 week or 3 days, whatever it is, or go until you get a yes and see how it feels, because you might find that when you go there and you deliver the results and do the training for the higher amount, you might feel like my client that I spoke to this morning that was like, well, I should have done this sooner, and I don't think I could do it for less now. And this is what I mean by how it feels to you and how that pricing sits with you and how it feels when you do the job for that price, and whether you think, okay, no, I still don't feel comfortable with it. I've got to go a bit lower, maybe find somewhere in between. Or, yes, this felt so much better. I feel like this is so much easier. I feel like I'm not going to burn out this way because I can see clients in a quality over quantity approach. The client seems really invested because they're putting in more and they're more invested financially. And you might see these things that totally change the way that you feel about it just from getting one or two yeses to the sale. So just because the economy isn't great right now and things are happening with all that, it doesn't mean that you need to lower your prices. I've still got many clients that are still gradually raising their prices. What you could do is save on expenses while you either keep your prices steady or raise them. But that's sort of a whole other topic as well that I might add to my list of topics to cover of getting through these tough economic times. So when you think about what feels comfortable to you and what annual income goal you want to set, the way that you think and the way that you feel about money and the things that you believe about money will also have an effect. And this is actually huge. It's what we call money mindset. And this is your beliefs about money, and it comes from early childhood and the things that you hear and learn about money from when you're a toddler and up. So things that you hear from your parents that sink in even subconsciously. So you might continually be hearing things like, money is the root of all evil, or money doesn't make you happy, or it's the simple things that make you happy and keeping a simple life, the bare necessities, money doesn't grow on trees, or greedy rich people. I was listening to Disney music last night while I was making fried rice. And oh, Natalie said I got busier during this pandemic. And you know what? A lot of trainers have. A lot of trainers have. Trainers, I've spoke to someone the other day that was booked up till the end of October. It's going gangbusters, so it's fantastic. And I think it's because people maybe are finally having more time to put into it, or they've spent more time with their dogs at home and realize they've got some naughty habits, or they've got a quarantine puppy, all of these things. And a lot of trainers are doing fantastic, which is great. And I think that's also what's bringing up some of this burnout issues, and people feeling like, well, I'm so flat out busy and I don't know if I can sustain this energetically, even though I love how busy I am getting lots of bookings. It's taxing work. It takes a lot of energy, dog training. It's emotional energy. It's investing into this result. It's caring about the dog and the client and wanting it to work for them, and it's problem solving, thinking hard as you're problem solving during the lesson and in between, thinking about it when you go home. it takes a lot of energy. So it's something that you do need to spread out a little bit, make fun, have breaks for. But back to money mindset, jumping all over the place here. I was listening to Disney music last night and the Bare Necessities from the Jungle Book came on. I was singing along. I love Disney music. I love Disney, especially the old school stuff. And I was thinking, wow, I actually loved the Jungle Book as a kid and I loved this song. And I remember my mum explaining to me what it meant and that people that have less in life are happier than people that have more. And that sort of lesson can have a huge impact on how you view money and making money, which filters down to how confident you are about what you charge and what you can charge and how much you can make. And if you know me at all, you know that I fully believe that just because you're passionate about dog training and you do it because you love it, it doesn't mean that you don't also deserve to make a good living from it. You can have both. So another other things that like your parents might say or people in society say is like the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, greedy rich people, um, all heaps of things like that. And looking at movies, popular culture, it's always like the evil people are rich and evil, and the good, modest people live really sort of poorly or frugally. They don't have much, but they're happier and they're a nicer person. So all of these sort of things sink through so that especially women, it seems, feel guilty about making money or charging higher prices. They just want to help everyone, which is lovely, but you still also have to take care of yourself and charge what you're worth. So, the other thing that comes into pricing is how you want to position yourself in the market. Do you want to be the budget option or do you want to be the premium option? And if you do want to be the premium option, do you have the self belief in all those things we talked about to be able to do so? Because you really do need that self belief first to be able to position yourself as a premium option. You need to feel that you're premium and believe it and see in your own business, yes, this is a premium offering or a premium service. So, are you also comfortable with being out of someone's price range? Are you comfortable with it if someone says, no, I can't afford you? Um, that can be really scary for people to say that they can't afford it. And if you get a few of them in a row, it can throw you off and take a hit to your confidence where you feel like, oh, maybe I am charging too much. And sometimes it's just a total fluke that you might get several people saying no in a row, and it has nothing to do with you or your prices. It's just a coincidence, but some people really take a hit, take it personally, whereas you have to be able to position yourself like the director, the CEO of your business, and that this is your prices and you're fully confident in that, and that you accept that you can get some no's, and that's just part of any business. Because no matter what you charge, high or low, some people are going to think it's cheap and some people are going to struggle to afford it or think it's expensive. Shelley says that happened to me. What happened? Like you got a hit to your confidence, or was it something that I said earlier? So if you are wanting to position yourself as a premium service and demand higher prices as well, have a look at each little piece of your business and whether your branding is consistent with that. So go through your business with a fine tooth comb, just one thing at a time. Don't feel like you have to do this all at once either. Like I know I'm talking about a lot of things and you might be getting lots of ideas sometimes, but don't fall into the trap of being overwhelmed because you feel like you've got to do it all at once. Just one thing at a time. So things like, all right, if you want to be a premium dog training brand, how does your logo look? Does it look premium or does it look budget? What about even the name of your business? What do people see when they go to your social media or to your website? Does it feel premium when they're looking through? Is there a lot of broken links or do things work smoothly? Does it just feel like they're getting this top notch service? The way that you conduct yourself during the lesson, the time that you arrive. Are you always late or are you always on time? Do they get a text message reminder? The materials that you show them in any written information, is it on nice paper or is it printed out at home? Is it laminated? So I do up my program brochures on Canva so they look really nice, and then I laminate them so it's not just plain paper, or I'll get them printed at a printing place on gloss paper so it's like a really professional feel of brochure and the look of it is nice as well. Have someone look over it to see what they think about it and ask them, how does it feel? What sort of business does this feel like to you as you look at this material? What else is there that you can look at and sort of audit in your business? What about your email address and the URL for your website? Are you just using a Gmail address? Are you using an email address that you had back in the 90s or the noughties? It's like, I don't know, Lizzie69 or hot stuff at Hotmail. Like, you don't want that sort of thing to represent your business if you're trying to go for that premium professional feel. You want your name or info or hello or support at, and then you want your domain name, which is your business name and easy to remember and read. Shelley says, a couple of people told me my prices were too high. One person sent me websites of others in the area that were somewhat lower than my prices. That's a great experience. And that is all to do with that person and nothing to do with what you or how you should run your business. If that's your price, that's your price. And if someone sent that to me, I'd be like, okay, if you want to go, if that fits more your budget, it looks like that would be the better option for you. Like, why bother showing you that someone else is cheaper? They're obviously either expecting to negotiate or something like that, which you don't have to do. My price is my price. I don't bargain on that either. What else can we look at? Even like the font and the colors and the layout on or your all of your social media and your websites. How does that come across? Is it easy to read? The colors, is it in like Comic Sans font? Is it consistent across the board of the fonts and colors? Are the pictures up to date? Are they professional looking images? Are they stock photos or do you have some that you have had taken? Is there spelling mistakes? Is it easy to find how to book with you, how to give you money? If you meet people in the park, where do you meet them? How does that feel for them? Or do you go to their home and how do you show up there? So, one thing at a time, you can look at things that you can improve about your business. And one way you could go about it is make a big list, go through one thing at a time, see how you can make it into that premium service if that's what you want to be. And then each time you do that, maybe raise your price like $5 to reflect the change, just a little at a time, especially if you just don't feel 100% confident or secure yet to raise your rates or have that big jump. So it's perfectly fine to do this gradually. So I recommend if you've been thinking about raising your rates or there's been one of those indicators that you're maybe on the cheaper side and you want to try raising it, but you're feeling a bit scared about it, set a goal and then raise incrementally. So maybe eventually you want to be $100 more for a session than what you are now, but that's just way too big of a scary jump and feels like too much of a change. Okay, so maybe on the next client, you quote them just $5 or $10 more, see how it goes, see how it feels, and just keep doing that a little at a time until you reach your goal. And each time that you raise it a small amount, quote a few people, get a few yeses, do it at the new rate, see how it all feels until you're 100% confident with it, and then do it again. I hope these tips today have helped you. That's all I've got for today, but I'm happy to continue the discussion in the comments sections And I'm going to, or I already have popped the link to the Dog Trainers program creation kit in the comments. It's only $37 and you get all of these swipe files. You get swipe files of sales script example for selling your biggest programs, including handling any client objections. You get a swipe file of inclusion ideas that you can include in a program. You get a swipe file of different program descriptions that you can use. You can tweak this stuff to suit you. You can just use it for inspiration, or you can steal the whole lot and copy and paste it. And there's some swipe files of program example templates of different programs, inclusions, different sizes of programs and what might be in them. And again, you can tweak all of that for your own business. There's also little video lessons and a breakdown of what it takes to reach $100,000 a year as a solo dog trainer. So even if you're on your own, or if you've got a bigger operation or you've got bigger goals than that, you can use the same reverse engineering calculations to figure out exactly how many clients you need and what you're going to need to do and adjust to reach your goal. And 100,000 is a great goal if you haven't met that already, and we break it all down for you in there. It's like a full mini course for just $37. So jump on that, check it out. I will see you guys in the next video. If you have any questions or comments based on what we chatted about today or anything else about marketing your dog training business, let me know in the chat. I'll see you there, and I'll see you next time. Have a great day. Bye.